Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to have your company. And today on the programme, as you can see, Tam McManus is here with us alongside Charlie Adam and Alan Ruff as well. If you are a regular viewer, don't forget, share it with your friends. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel where we are exclusively live every day, Monday to Friday from 4 o'clock. You can also offer us your opinion in the live feed, and if you download the app you can hit the submissions button and record a message about your favourite team or anything that's bugging you in Scottish football. And being Scottish football, we're never too far away from some controversial incident that usually gets people hot under the collar. We will be talking about one of those incidents very shortly, but first and foremost, let's deal with European football. Last night it looked as if it was going to be a disappointing night overall for Rangers, but there was a little glimmer of hope at the end of it, Charlie, with Stephen Davis's goal to make it Malmo 2, Rangers 1.
Yeah, I thought at times Rangers were comfortable in the game. I didn't think Malmo caused too many problems. They had a 3 or 4 minute spell where it exploded really for them, and they battled away, and you know, they got that goal that probably will give them confidence going to that second leg at home. You know, good crowd, good atmosphere, and the managers obviously issued a rallying cry for the Rangers fans to come out and support the team. So yeah, they've got themselves back into it, but like the Stephen said, that there was too many below the level, and when you're playing Champions League football you can't afford it. Yeah,
Steven Gerrard after the game had this to say on the overall performance of the side. Disappointed with the result, disappointed with the couple of goals we conceded, but I think there's a big moment at the end of the game which has gone in our favour. It's a big moment and sets us up for next week. It's not the position we wanted to be in, but it's a lot better than going in 2-0 down. We were also on the verge of it going even worse, as well as the injury time. It was important for us to stay focused, but our performance over the 90 minutes hasn't been enough. I need to get some bodies back to help us. We were very young in terms of the bench, and we didn't have many options to help us. It's difficult to throw young lads into that sort of situation. I think his only option at one point, the preferred option, was Fashion Sakala, which he exercised. But Ruffy, over the course of it, I didn't think they were any great shakes. I mean, I look at this game now and I think they're there for the taking in the return leg.
Yeah, I think so, and I think after the game, you know, if any team's going to take any confidence out, it's going to be Rangers getting the goal. You know, they'll be an absolute downer. You know, the 2-0, I've been up 2-0, they'd feel quite confident, but that goal just put a sort of a dampener on it. By Rangers standard, it was a poor performance. So what we've seen last year in Europe and the teams that were playing last year, they were superb. I agree with the manager. I think one guy in particular we're missing was Kamara. I think Kamara in Europe has been absolutely outstanding, and I think they just lacked him. They had somebody like him last night, you know, somebody, you know, I know he's come back for the Euros and everything, but I think if he's available in the next game, he'll make a difference.
The suspension, that's the problem, isn't it? He's out for 3 games, so like he's one that could keep the ball, and he's energetic, and he's a terrific footballer, so they'll have to find a solution. And listen, an early goal changed the whole complexion of the tie, and I'd expect Rangers to win this. And looking at the tie, this is probably the toughest game at the both games if they can get through this. But it's a huge disappointment for Rangers from where they were on Saturday against Livingston to then perform away from home against Malmo. But they got away with it really in the end. They managed to get that goal. It'll set it up nicely for next week.
Realistically though, Tom, it was just a mad 5 minutes for me at the start of the second half.
Yeah, it was. I don't think Rangers were troubled in the first half. I think they are a decent team, a fit team. They're halfway through their season, and you can tell they were sharper and fitter. But I thought as the game wore on, I think Rangers the last 15-20 minutes were starting to put a wee bit of pressure on to get that goal back, and I don't think Rangers will play any worse than that, to be honest, away from home. I think that's the first game they've lost under Gerrard in Europe. I think that's a real kick in the teeth for Malmo on that last minute goal. You could see the reaction at the end.
Players, the captain,
the players were stunned with it at the end, the Malmo players. So that was a huge moment for Steve Davis. And I agree with Charlie. Listen, I think if Rangers they're talking maybe a full house next week at Ibrox, and I think that if Rangers can get that early goal in the first 20 minutes, I fancy them to win the game comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's looking at the moment, Tom, especially on the announcement yesterday, by next Monday, I think me, you, Ruffy and Charlie will be able to get into a nightclub, but we'll still have to wear our masks.
I've seen that. You're not allowed to stand up and have a drink in the bar, is that right? I don't know what's going on with it. I try and stay away from all that stuff, but
Yeah.
some of it is you don't understand it.
Now, I know some people will laugh, Ruffy, but I don't know about you, Charlie, but I spent a lot of my youth in Glasgow City nightclubs, and I can tell you right now from my experience of dancing like a mad octopus, it's going to be very difficult to dance in a nightclub, Ruffy, with a mask on and be able to breathe.
Yeah, I've said to you numerous occasions, the nightclubs we used to go to were pitch black, and when the lights went up at the end of the night, you wondered what you had.
Yeah,
you didn't know what you didn't know what you'd been you didn't know what you'd been talking to for the last 2 hours.
Put your hands in that magic bag.
Yeah, I think how she felt, Ruffy, when she saw your face there.
At least there's a mask and cover it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is the great thing about it. Somebody said to me this morning, masks in a nightclub, and I thought, I know, but at least...
Feel no mind it.
Well, I was just about to say to you, the long walk over to get the long knockback, and then the long walk back to your mates. But nevertheless, I digress slightly. My apologies on that, but I think Rangers look okay. I think they'll go through in the next leg, but I wasn't that impressed with Malmo. And as Stephen Gerrard mentioned, 5 or 6 players, another week, another chance to get even more sharp, much like Celtic.
Yeah, I can't believe he's never forced the striker back. Whatever I can't believe the
problem he's got is he's in quarantine in the hotel at Glasgow Airport,
I know,
so
but
he can't get out.
But you would have thought
Seen
they'd
him
have
running
got him
around the
back
car park
earlier.
yesterday.
Yeah.
You thought I got him back earlier? No?
Yeah.
Well,
I know they gave them a couple of days off for where they've been. And
I think
that,
you've got to for burnt out. But by the way, listen, the other thing about it is, he could be sitting there saying, look, I'm planning for him not being here.
I understand that Sakala, I think, is a different option to what they've got.
Yeah.
I like him. I've seen him in that Real Madrid game. I thought his link-up was really good. He went with Itten last night, and he's got that option off the bench. But the one with Morelos is that it's he chose to go back to Colombia after the Copa America. Advised not to, but he did, and he's put himself into a quarantine where he can't get out of the hotel. So. The quicker they get him back, I think it will definitely improve Rangers.
Yeah, thanks very much to Chris Stewart. I'm not sure if he's a fan of mine, Tam, but he just says, you'll have a better chance pulling a girl with a mask on, Peter. Hey, fine. Well done, Chris. I'm not offended in any way. Take a Bunsen burner, as you know, Ruffy, to break the shield. But nevertheless, thanks for that, Chris. We'll try and mention as many people. Kevin McManus, the Gers needed the goal. And quite a lot of people, obviously, talking about Rangers and how they're faring in the first leg and whether there's any real worry over the second leg. And I don't think, on the messages coming in, not too many Rangers fans actually worried about the second leg. I think there's more than enough quality to get past Malmo. What do you think? Give us your thoughts on that as well. Okay, lots to talk about. I'll try and get through as many of the topics as we possibly can. One of them, of course, is Jordan Jones. For me, there's a line in the sand. He kicks a Celtic player in an Old Firm game, injures himself, and from there it's all downhill for me, Tam, and suddenly he's away to Wigan permanently.
Yeah, I think he was always going to leave. I don't think he's good enough to hold down a regular place at Rangers, so for him, I think it's better for him. Wigan are a good club. League One, they'll be challenging to try and get out of that division, and I think it's a good move for him. I don't think he'll get much game time at Rangers. It's another one out the door for Rangers, maybe frees up a wage to maybe bring someone else in. But the likes of him and Greg Stewart and guys like that, when Gerrard first came in, they were just filling spots for squad players, weren't they?
I think they were the right players at the right time for Rangers, because Jordan Jones done really well at Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
Greg Stewart was doing well. I think at that time, as they evolved, as the quality of Rangers have gone up, they've probably just had to be, sacrificed a little bit. And the lads have had a great opportunity to play for such a great club. And listen, sometimes your time's up, and Rangers are looking to get him and maybe a couple of others at the door before the window closes. But it's at the time, I don't think they were bad signings.
Yeah, I mean that's the key to it all nowadays. I think it's especially tough in Scottish football, Robbie, but it's a Steven Gerrard, whether it's a Neil Lennon, Ange Postecoglou, Robbie Nielsen, you name it, Jack Ross. If you are dealing in levels, if you sign 7 or 8 or 9 players, if you get, for me personally, I always say if Rangers and Celtic and other clubs sign a lot of players and they get 1 or 2 at a push that turn out to be regulars, that's a good return. Because I think that you could rhyme off a wad of players who've come in, never sniffed the first team, and then quickly have been gone.
I think Jones is fortunate enough he got a second chance. You know, as Charlie said, I think we all agree at Kilmarnock he looked worth a chance. He certainly did, and obviously the carry on that he had, they shipped him out the door. But in the back of his mind, he said, I maybe have to have another look at him. So he brought him back again, and by all accounts, the close season, I think I saw the manager saying he was impressed with him. He was impressed with what he was doing. So obviously, as you said, the more players that have come in, he's went down the ladder. So he just cut the cord.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, Tam, but I think we're going back to March 2020. Rangers Leverkusen, the last time there was a full house in Scotland. I mean, with this announcement, you've got 5,000, but there's obviously going to be special requests coming in to get full houses after the 9th of August. And I think quite a lot of them are expecting to be granted full houses, especially for the return legs coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see any reason why there shouldn't be full houses now. I think a lot of people have had their double jag, they're vaccinated.
Yeah.
Places are now opening up, nightclubs are opening up. You know, so why is it not safe to go and sit outside in a crowd rather than going to a nightclub and stuff? So something I don't understand, but I don't see a problem now between now and the next couple of weeks for Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen to have full capacity back, and I think it's what everybody needs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, a couple of little stories, one of them breaking in the last couple of hours that I think are worthy of your opinion. I was going to go to Ruffy first, but I think I'll go to you, Tam, on the basis that obviously he's on the board and and Charlie's got a wry smile because he knows what's coming, but the war is ongoing at the moment. We all know the end game. We've talked about it with Hugh McDonald as well. I think Rangers clearly are increasing the pressure on Neil Doncaster as the chief executive of the SPFL. They've now hit back with, I don't know if it's an email or a letter to all the clubs questioning the deal and trying to back up why they were well within their rights to not accept the Cinch deal. And they've also, I think rather naughtily, questioned where the deal originated from, because they've questioned why the SPFL should be giving £100,000 per year for an agency that was able to go and clinch the deal. Now, that for me is naughty, and I don't think that sort of information should have come out in the wash. That's the norm for a lot of companies, whether it be television companies, football companies. If someone brokers a deal as an agent to get something to, and bear in mind, by the way, whether you like it or not, I'm not Neil Doncaster's greatest fan. I think the fact that we haven't been able to get a sponsor for a good few years has been a catastrophe. But this, to me, is something that should have been kept in-house. But it's not unusual for an agent to bring a deal to the table.
No, I don't see anything wrong with it. As you said, it happens with clubs and players. You know, if an agent does a deal with a club, the agent's going to get a few quid in his hand. That's just how it works, and it's the same here. They've obviously went to the SPFL and said, listen, we've got you this deal. This is how it's going to be, and this is going to be your cut, and everybody's agreed to it. So, as you said, I think that Stuart Robertson and Rangers are desperate to get shorty Neil Doncaster. They have been for the last year, 18 months. You know, there's been a bit of a war ongoing between the two of them, so
I wouldn't narrow it down to 18 months. I think you could go back to, I think you could go back to 2012.
Yeah.
Just prior to that, to be honest.
He's had a big target in his head from a lot of people. Neil Doncaster, isn't he? He's kind of surviving in there. And as I said, Rangers don't seem to be happy with the Cinch deal, but I think the rest of the clubs have obviously agreed to it. So it's hard to. It's a democracy, you know. All the clubs have voted for it, and you know, you can't just go with one club, the Rangers side of this. So as you said, I think them, you know, divulging this 100 grand. It's poor, to be honest, and it's just designed to put more pressure on Neil Doncaster, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And over and above that, Ruffy, you're in a situation where, you know, there are lots of clubs who have deals with other car companies. And I don't think we're in the position in this country to be knocking back money. If there's no money, if there's no rush, if there's no big company coming in to invest, then you've got to look and see, okay, what is on the table and should we consider it? That's the nature of it. And I'll tell you, I was critical last year in this programme, and I will not hold back in this. Why would any major company want to come and invest in Scottish football? It is poison right now. It is a group of bickering people, backstabbing individuals, little cliques, and the PR and image of Scottish football is in the gutter. Why would you want to invest in it? I can understand why the SPFL has struggled, because of the evidence of what's gone on. It is an absolute shambles. And I think it needs a fresh start. And I am not on the bandwagon of saying, let's get one individual, which is Neil Doncaster. It needs a fresh start, a fresh approach, and it needs clubs, some of them who are bang out of order, and I include Rangers in this, to be reeled in and sat down and said, come on, let's put what's gone before behind us, and let's move together as a group of individuals collectively to try and promote a better image of Scottish football. There's no point in continually fighting with Rangers. Rangers need to be a club round a table with everybody, and everybody needs to say, we need to move on together. And how we find that middle ground, I do not know. I don't know who the Kofi Annan person is, Ruffy, but we need one.
It's not going to happen with this board. That's evidence it's not going to happen. There's not going to be sitting around the table with Neil Doncaster the way things are going on. I mean, that release today is just to throw it out there for everybody, every other club who don't like the board. You know, and that's just a wee feeder, you know, to say, right, come on, it's not just us that don't like this present board, you don't like them either. So how many of you want to stand up and be counted and get them out? And that's the end product with that thing that's coming out there. But, I mean, everybody knows the rule. We know the rules now. Rule 17 said you can't have you can't, you know, have two companies, you know, you can't have a comparison or whatever. So I just hope the sponsors knew that rule when they signed the deal, because all we need is the sponsors to say, hey, wait a minute, if that club don't take part in this, we're hauling out of this.
Yes, I think that's possible.
Yeah, so I think everybody's hoping that Rule 17 was put in front of them to say, look, we might have a wee problem with some clubs, you know, because of this rule, because I think we'll hear more about this as it goes on. Yeah,
if this deal, Charlie, collapses, yet again, I think it's going to become even more difficult to get investment.
Yeah, listen, it will do. We've talked about it before during the pandemic, like how we never had a sponsorship for the main league in Scotland for a number of years is just incredible. And we've obviously got an opportunity now to do it. People are not happy with that. But I always say, everybody, the big clubs, the Rangers and Celtic, they want the most of the pie. It's understandable why.
Yep.
But I think the other 10 clubs have got to have a say as well. And the only way you can do that is all getting in a room and talking. You know, there's no point of emails and doing it through the press. You have to all get round a table and come to a decision. And if that is Rangers and Celtic getting more of the pie, then that's what it has to be, as long as the other clubs are getting rewarded as well.
Yeah, thanks to many of you who post your messages on YouTube. Some of you obviously have your own name, and we value your opinion if indeed you can look at things in a balanced sort of way and offer maybe a counter opinion to something that we've mentioned. That's fine, that's the nature of it. We do, and I appeal to the people who have a brain, we do ban certain people, that we do respond to the general feeling and the opinions of many of our viewers, but we do ban quite a lot of people who are, what's the phrase I'm looking for?
Numpties.
Not the full shilling. Yeah, absolutely. Numpties. I'm happy with numpties, Ruffy. It's as simple as that. But listen, we do our best to try and get people who verge on decency, and we'll try that because we are a football show. And as Tam has mentioned on countless occasions, he loves the phrase, if you can't look at it balanced and without being abusive, then this is not the show for you. It's as simple as that. I love that. We need to get a T-shirt, Tam, don't we? It's absolutely
sell a few of them, Peter.
Absolutely. Now, we move on. Although I would just say one thing, by the way, and I'm not going to be two-faced to him. He was in, he had a cup of tea, because he's early, he knows what it's like to be a professional who turns up on time. We had a cup of tea, and I did say to him, Ruffy, I was watching the game at Dundee, and he plays a pass, takes out 4 people with a pass on the part that nobody would have seen. I mean, it was an outrageous pass, and I thought, just a different class, but come on, St Mirren, 2-1, hold on. Because I'll get 5 points.
He was a snake, Charlie.
He couldn't wait to get in to tell me about the scores and all that. And he went, oh, by the way, I had you to get beat 2-1 as well, thanks.
I thought the highlight of that game was when your goal went in and you turned around whether it was yours or not. Whether it hit off somewhere. Do you know what? I'm having that.
I got booked for exuberant celebration in front of...
You mentioned it. Did you celebrate or did you say something to the keeper?
No, I just celebrated by putting my hands up like that, celebrating in his face and that, and I had to apologise to him at half time. I just got too excited and listen, it was was one of these moments. But
have you done that before? Have you ever been in a situation where you've scored
gets by a situation?
Well, you've jumped into the crowd, you've gone bananas. Have you done that before? I mean, I would have allowed you to do it for Courtois.
I'll be honest with you, scoring Sunday and I might be in the crowd.
Well, beware.
I might not get back out, that's the worry.
If you're in the crowd, me and Tam might stiffen you.
But no, oh yeah, listen, I enjoy scoring goals. It's the best thing, listening to Tam, and you know, he scored a lot of goals in his career, and when you score a goal, there's no better feeling, and sometimes it goes a bit above and beyond, but no, you've got to be respectful of the opposition, and I got booked for it, and I apologise to Jack Annick at half time about it.
Yeah, I'm not talking out of school here, Charlie, but do you remember Michael Owen when he scored against Newcastle and he's looking at his pals? He was only a youngster at the time and he went, remember that?
Yeah,
that was near enough what he did when he hit his volley at Ibrox. And he ran over to Bobby Williamson and you were near. It was one of those, wasn't it? I don't know what you did, but you did.
I ran past Alec McLeish because I'm an old gaffer. I just see him shaking his head. And it was amazing because McLeish said after the game, he said, I seen that ball was coming in, I said, I knew you were going to hit that. I said, I knew you were going to hit it.
It was a peach of a goal. Have you ever jumped into the crowd?
I jumped into the crowd in the Dundee derby. Scored the Tannadice to put us 2-1 up into the Dundee fans. Big Caballero put one right in my head, right in front of the goal, diving header, and then ran into, burst into all the Dundee fans. Yeah.
Ruffy, you've jumped into the crowd. I think it was in Maracanã, Brazil. There was a lot of Brazilian women behind the goal.
That's a distraction, to say the least.
I mean, honestly, Charlie, you played at the top flight, but how can you play for your country in the middle of Brazil for Scotland, and the whole place is just full of stunning women? I mean, honestly, he tells the story. It's so funny.
Yeah. But especially with the goalkeeper, because you got plenty of time to look round, didn't you?
Yeah.
I was fascinated at the lineup, at the national anthem where you're standing. You're
this
just
is great.
You're just sort of browsing,
Picking them at the crowd.
I can't tell that story.
No, but I won't.
I know it's somebody
don't name names.
No, I won't name
them.
names. I know it's somebody in the crowd that we all know quite well, and she was up for a laugh and sort of gave her a wee wave and that, and then she lifted her top. And the person sitting beside me standing beside me was Danny McGrain.
I said to you, don't name any names.
No, Danny's not done anything wrong,
Breaking headlines tomorrow in the newspaper.
Oh no, he just went, oh, for heaven's sake, Jesus Christ.
Danny, he's the funniest guy ever, honestly, brilliant one-liners. Anyway, Joe Hart, here's Joe Hart, who's signed. He's got a 3-year deal. He's 34 years of age. He insists that he hasn't been told he's going to be the number one.
I don't think anyone's ever going to give you assurances. That's when you're at a team like Celtic, I don't think anyone can afford to rest on those. We all need to be pushing for the jersey. We all need to be pushing in the same direction, whether we're on or off the field. And that's no different for me. I'm here to obviously try my best to be that guy. And I'll leave no stone unturned to do that. But ultimately, it's down to the manager and down to us playing well as a team.
Okay, when you're in a press conference, there are some times when managers paint a lovely picture, which is not actually the realistic picture of what's happening in normal life. Players do it too. And of course, that was your bog standard press conference answer from Joe Hart. I'm not assured of number one. I'm sorry, Joe. You're on a private plane off to the Czech Republic. You're the number one.
I was going to say Ruffy, nearly flying Ruffy here. Put him in goal. The two boys in goal. I think he's going to get straight into the team. 3-year deal, 15 grand a week. Well within the budget for Celtic. I think the Celtic supporters will be happy with that. He's not coming up in 30, 40 grand a week. So, 34-year-old for me is no age. He looks as if he's fit. I looked at Buffon. I think she signed a 2-year deal with Parma. 42-year-old.
Yeah.
So there's
he's probably saying he gets 15 grand a week, but there's a million quid in his pocket.
Allegedly. He's talking about Buffon, by the way, not Joe Hart. Although at 42, you'd sign Buffon, wouldn't you?
Wow,
Some keeper.
Yeah. It's going back to Joe Hart. It's these Celtic players will realise the standard, the Scott Brown standard, will be back in the club. He's professionalism, how he works every day is incredible. His hunger to go, and you can see that. Listen, it's two sensible signings from Celtic. Two people that understand Celtic Football Club now.
Yeah. Do you rate McCarthy?
I think it's a very good signing. The only issue will be will be, he's not played much football from when he had that bad leg break.
Yep.
So, listen, he played, I think, 30 odd times the season before. He played 16 last season for Palace. I think it's a very good signing. Knows the football club.
He's only 30 as well.
He's only 30.
Yeah.
You know, so they're still getting him at a young. It's not like he's signing a midfielder at 34, 35. He's 30 years of age. Yeah. Still got a lot to give, and I think he'll be a good signing for Celtic. But the Joe Hart one, I think, is it's a big decision for them to make. They needed it. Yeah. And he'll come in and be excellent for them.
Yeah, it's the injuries, the only worry in the back of your mind, Ruffy, when you look at it, as Charlie mentioned there with McCarthy. But as far as losing Brown and looking for an engine to sit alongside McGregor, he's your man.
Yeah, I think you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. We all know he's had injuries, but when he's not had injuries, he's a quality player, even international-wise as well. I mean, they rave about him when he's playing for the national side, you know, and I think the more games he gets, obviously, the better he will become. But he just fits into the way Celtic have their players and the way they play, and I don't think it's going to be a really hard job for him to fit into the setup.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, this is what Ange Postecoglou had to say about Celtic eventually just starting to convert some of their good play into results.
We're trying to maintain our focus on ourselves at the moment. I think, as I said, our football's been okay. It hasn't been brilliant, but it's been okay. We've had chances to win all our games. So there's a real focus there to turn the performances, to keep improving them, but more importantly, turn them into results.
So the winner faces AZ Alkmaar. Jablonec, no matter how many people can look at the stats of where they are on the table, Czech Republic football. I think a lot of Celtic fans are thinking, you need to do something here, need to suddenly get the wheels in motion.
Yeah, I think that obviously Joe Hart's going to play, and I think that'll make a big difference. I really do. I think for that back four, particularly how young it's been, you know, as Charlie alluded to there, he's a leader. You know, he's going to be talking back there. He's going to be a big presence, and I think he'll help Celtic massively. I think the more Celtic play, the more games they play, the guys are coming in, are going to settle in. I think the Celtic will get stronger as the year goes on, but big games are now. You know, you've got to produce it now. So I think it'll be a tough game. But I think Celtic will get through this tie. I think they'll get through against Jablonec. I think Alkmaar will be a bigger test in the next round, but I'd fancy Celtic to go through.
Yeah, I'm going to make this next statement. I want you keep an eye on Charlie's face, right, as I make it to Ruffy. But I'm told Celtic obviously, might benefit because Midtjylland played an ineligible player in the second leg tie, so they're looking into that at the moment. Can you imagine Celtic suddenly get reinstated?
They just got duffed last night, did they not?
Yeah.
Nothing. So how can you bring them back in?
Well,
when played that game?
I'm just saying to you,
PSV then?
They're looking into it. They're looking into it.
Celtic says, no, we don't want it.
Just
we don't want back in.
Janino is apparently a player who was ordered not to play after FIFA discovered that he was part of a global ban. Can you imagine? Look at his face. Can you imagine it, Charlie? Can't see it happening.
If you're Celtic, you've got to challenge it, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I think it was FIFA that raised the issue.
Yeah. So Celtic will be delighted with that if they can get it through. But no, I think, like I said before, two sensible signings. Just hope that they can start performing for Sunday's game for us. Yeah,
absolutely. That's going to be. It's good. Don't worry. Hang fire on your prediction. And of course, Celtic now. We heard last week that Aurelio Buta was on the radar, and it looks as if that one's closing in. It looks as if they're trying to get a flurry of signings before they get out of August.
Yeah, listen, Celtic need bodies in the building. They need experience. They need quality and. Buta's, played against Rangers, I think, last year for Antwerp. Good player. I think that's what they're needing. Right back. Still need a left back. They've brought the centre half in. So they're slowly but surely getting there. Still think they need a striker.
Two.
Possibly two.
Definitely two.
Definitely two strikers. Because I don't know if. I don't think Ajetti's. I don't think he's going to play. I must be looking to shift him out. He's not even. He's hardly come on off the bench. I think
Griffiths will be limited as well, if not loaned out.
And then Edwards. So
man down.
Christie's got 4 months left on a contract.
Yeah. They've got to strengthen up.
He'll be gone.
Top.
Where?
Well, I just think they'll look at it and say to themselves, you've got to get some money for him.
Yeah.
Are they going to let that lad walk out without at least bagging, $1 million?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think they will. I think as a business you'll be looking to... Well, Well, because it's not as if it's to the end of the season. It's only 6 months, so
Yeah.
it's not even worth it. Even if they can get £500,000, £1 million from now to the end of summer, they can get somebody else in. Would they go and take Martin Boyle for Hibs as a replacement? I would. I think they'd look at something like that.
Okay, write that down, will you? He never opens his mouth without somebody saying something to him. Anyway.
Hibs fans are all happy with that one, Charlie.
Exactly.
That should get extra booze at Easter Road.
I know, and talking of Hibs, this is, of course, good time. He's past Santa Coloma, as we expected, Ruffy. The Andorrans are not really going to cause him any problems. This is now getting down to the business end of these qualifiers.
Well, these are the ties that usually come a cropper for Aberdeen and Hibs and the other Scottish teams that are in Europe. So if they can get by this hurdle, I think they'll be a wee bit more positive. And certainly, I think by all accounts, both of them are getting more confident the more European games they play in. They're not playing the top teams yet, so you would like to think a wee bit of luck they can get through these two.
I always find Croatian sides quite difficult, technically usually good as well, Tam.
Yeah, I think it'll be a difficult game. I know they beat Aberdeen a number of years ago, 5-2, but Aberdeen got them, beat them, I think 4-0 in aggregate 3 or 4 years ago. So I think they'll be a decent team. They drew 3 each with Dinamo Zagreb at the weekend, who are pretty much a Champions League team. So they're top of the Croatian league. But I think the Hibs at home, I think they're going to have 5,000 or 6,000 there tomorrow night. Good atmosphere on the ground. Hibs need to win. Hibs need to go and take a lead over there. I think Hibs will be well suited to going away from home, sitting in, playing the counter-attack. They were brilliant away from home last season. Hibs a great record. So I think if you can take some sort of lead over there, away goals doesn't count, then you've got every opportunity to get through. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going through. You going to be there?
I'll be there tomorrow night, aye.
That's fantastic. At least one of us is earning money. So it's Hibs against Rijeka, and there's one man earning his wage at the moment in sunny Trinent, Gabriel Antoniazzi.
Thanks, Peter, and good afternoon from the Hibernian Training Centre here just outside of Edinburgh. I've been speaking to manager Jack Ross ahead of tomorrow's Europa Conference League third round first leg against HNK Rijeka of Croatia. Now, much of the talk was about Josh Doig, the teenage left-back who has been coveted by several English Premier League clubs. He didn't play in the weekend's Premiership victory over Motherwell because they were expecting him to move on. However, he did train today and the move hasn't progressed since the weekend, and perhaps now it is looking less likely than it was a few days ago. He isn't playing in tomorrow night's fixture, and Jack Ross told us that if he isn't playing and he isn't moving, Hibs are going to have to do something. They're not going to wait for the offer to come forever.
We need to look after ourselves as a club and Josh as a player. So it won't continue indefinitely from my side, and I'm not the only person that makes decisions at the club, so I can only speak from a purely football management perspective that I don't want it to continue indefinitely for a prolonged period, because we want, as I said, that clarity and for us to move forward as a squad, and then for Josh to move forward as a person but also as a player.
On to the game itself then, and there will be around 5,000 fans in the stadium down in Leith for the fixture against Croatia's top side. They're currently top of the table. There's only been 3 matches played so far. They are a good side, though. Aberdeen played them a few years ago. They haven't lost since May, and Ross said there's nothing to be feared of. However, his players did finish third in their own division last season. They are a good side themselves, and here's what he expects from the Croatian opposition.
Positive, playing the front foot, work the ball in wide areas, put a lot of balls in the box, so we're going to have to defend properly. But from what I've seen, the games have been quite expansive and open, and I think that suits us as a team. I think we've seen on Sunday as well that when games become stretched, we're a good side and we're a threat, so it points towards it being a good game.
Now, given Rijeka's impressive home form, the likelihood is that Hibs are going to have to get a positive result tomorrow night if they do want to progress to the playoff round. Kick-off tomorrow night, 7:45.
Thanks to Gabs. Yes, Josh Doig, that whole thing still rumbling on. He's looking for a quick resolution on it, Jack Ross.
Yeah, he is. Listen, he wants to know one way or the other if the boy's going to be there or not, because he's got to go and get a replacement in. Me and Charlie were speaking about a few potential replacements there within Scottish football, so he wants to get the money in. I think the club want to get the money in. It's been a pandemic. If you can get £4 million into the football club, I think that would help massively. It would help you keep guys like Nisbet, Boyle, Porteous. So if Hibs can sell him, get the money, and then possibly get him back on loan, that would be the dream scenario. But I think one way or the other for the boy as well, his head must be scrambled. He's on the verge of a real life-changing move. So hopefully within the next few days it's resolved.
Yeah, hearts must be kicking themselves.
We're just talking about it, weren't we? Oh, big decisions, football club. Listen, you lose some players, but talking about it, the rise for the young lad at 40 odd games to now having the opportunity to go and looks like the English Premier League. It's he's been brilliant, and like Tam said, it's going to be a big jump for him, but he needs to make sure it's the right move. I don't think that whoever he goes to will loan him back to Hibs. I think they'll try and keep him in. Maybe the English Championship will be a better move for him, for physically especially. Yeah.
See, when you got there, Charlie, did you have a worry, a nervousness in your mind? I wonder if I'm good enough for the Premier League.
Oh, you always do, Peter. You always believe, are you good enough? And that's the doubt. But when you start playing and you enjoy yourself and you start seeing the rewards, it's you feel at ease. And when you go into that Premier League, you always doubt yourself against the best players. But when you're in that zone, you start doing it regular. It becomes comfortable, and it's just the first initial part will be difficult for him because he's obviously moving away from home at 18 years of age. But once he gets there and he's settled in, he's a terrific footballer, and it's just a surprise that none of the big Scottish clubs have looked at him.
Yeah, I moved away 17, 18, Tam. It's brilliant.
Out of Edinburgh?
Yeah.
You were to play football, but you did. Do I know?
Partying. It was fantastic. What age did you move out of the house, Ruffy? 13?
20 or something like that.
What? No, you didn't. 20?
Yeah. I never stayed in a flat or anything last.
Stay with your mum and dad?
I was the same. That was the beginning and end for me. I was 20 when I moved through to... Alan McLeish said to me, I want you to move through to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So I was travelling up the M8 every day, and he said I was looking tired. And I was staying with mum and dad right up until 20, and I was flying. I was doing well because I was under a tight leash.
Yeah, wow.
And then as soon as I moved through there, I moved into the same street as Russell Latterby.
And that was it.
Russell used to get by in a taxi and beat my horn, and I used to just run out and jump the taxi. Up a tune.
And here he is in this show now.
What was that? I'm blaming me, Russell, for that.
Russell's living in the Caribbean, just chilling in it.
A big cigar.
He's always sat in his hammock with a cigar like that.
Try not to put him on a bigger downer.
What a guy, what a guy.
What a player.
He was brilliant. I remember him coming to Rangers. I was at Rangers at the time when he come in. And Canadian was the same, come in, 34, 35, smoking, drinking. You could see Russell had been at the night before, red eyes and all of that. Yeah. But when he got on the training pitch, what a talent, huh? Yeah, there are some players who could do that, Ruffy. There's some players who can absolutely batter it from the night before, but then get up and they were, Brian Robson was another one that, those classic tales of somebody who could train like a demon and play in the party. It was just brilliant.
Classic tales of the Republic Island side. Any time they would be going away and on a Sunday they'd meet in the airport.
Paul McGrath.
They'd all got absolutely bladdered and not even got on the plane to go away. And that's how bad they were. Norman Whiteside, seemingly they were all of that ilk. But
McGrath was a great player though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So what were you doing when you went to Scotland? Crosswords and that?
Yeah.
No, we never. No.
You were a late developer, weren't you, Ruffy?
No.
68 when you really hit your peak.
Age of 68.
Exactly.
No, I can't remember.
No.
Well, there was a few. Big Jock always caught me.
Yeah, absolutely. Caught everybody. Craig Campbell says, yes, I've made it to the live show. Craig, delighted that you could join us on the live show. Lots of people joining us, and thank you very much for it. We like to talk about the games, some of the controversial issues, a wee bit of banter here and there, and we'll try and read out as many people as we can possibly read out who follow the show, and thanks for your opinions, the more sensible ones, that is. Hibbies, I think they need a couple of goals tomorrow night.
I think they need to take a lead over there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for 2-1 to Hibs. I
2-1.
think both teams will score, but I think Hibs will edge it 2-1.
Yeah, I'll stick with 2-1 as well, Charlie.
I'll go 1-0.
Yeah.
2. I'll go 2-0.
2-0, okay.
By the way, Nisbet's on fire, isn't he?
He was absolutely fantastic again at the weekend against Motherwell, Nisbet. And
I
was actually saying that if Kevin Nisbet keeps playing the way he's playing, they might not keep a hold of him in this window, because he was that good against Motherwell. He looks as if he's matured. He looks like a proper international football player now, because that wee bit of confidence he's had.
That one season last year, he's had that taste of it. He understands what the league's all about, and now he's just taking his game. That going at the Euros and things like that just gave him a little bit of a spark, and I thought he'd been terrific this season so far. Yeah.
Listen, I met up with one of my Aberdeen pals today. I had a wee chat with him. He's up there. He's going to be bringing us all the latest news. Andrew Shiney is coming to join us to give us all the inside info, Ruffy, on Aberdeen. There's a real air of confidence about them. There's a real feeling of, good things. I mean, he was telling us that for the small amount of boo boys who weren't happy at Scott Brown because of the Tonev situation, suddenly they seem to have been won over as well, and the players are suddenly won over. It was a great tale he mentioned to me today, Andrew, that Johnny Hayes, somebody asked him what's Bruni like in training, and he went, I don't really know, he doesn't speak to you. He's in the zone and everybody's getting it. I mean, it's you got to win, and I think that attitude will rub off in players.
No, I think if Aberdeen start the season, the way they have done, and start winning games and get on a wee run, I mean, that stadium should be near full. I mean, the majority of the supporters are fed up that way. I know some of the supporters go and support some of the other teams, but certainly a winning Aberdeen side with the history that they've got, people will believe that they could get back there, and they just need to show that they can get to cup finals. That's what they're hanging on to. They can challenge Rangers and they can challenge Celtic, and I think if they go on a run, the place will be buzzing. Yeah,
the one element of it that I do like, Charlie, is the fact that they're developing youngsters. There's a couple of youngsters have come in. Ramsey's one that's caught the eye. They've managed to sign a couple of people that maybe you're surprised with. Ramirez, for me, I like. But I think if you can get that nice little blend of winners, Brown, wee bit of flair, Hedges I like. If you can mix that in with some of the younger ones and the experience, suddenly Aberdeen could maybe get back to a point where I think they should be, which is we can go down to the West and take points off Celtic and Rangers.
I think that's going to be very difficult. I still Rangers and Celtic are miles ahead. But the challenge for them is now, can they go and catch Hibs? I think that's the next step. The performances over the last couple of years have been a bit up and down. Can they go and regularly, win at home, come away and go and win games comfortably? I like the Aberdeen side. I think Stephen's done a good job so far. Couple of jittery moments in the last tie away from home, conceding goals, but no, they've got the mix of a good team. They'll probably add maybe one or two, and I would expect them to be strong challengers to Hibs next season for that third place.
Yeah, Breida Blick are the opposition. I'm not for a minute suggesting that they'll go down and regularly beat Celtic and Rangers, but they've got to change their mindset. They've got to want to fight. If anybody comes to Pittodrie, they should be displaying the qualities that Scott Brown displays, which is basically, if you're coming here, you're coming for a scrap.
Yeah, I think that's what Aberdeen will be all about this season. I actually spoke to Bruni after the Hibs played Santa Coloma, and I said that the Andorran team were one of the dirtiest teams I'd ever seen. And Bruni actually texted me back and says, we wait till Aberdeen come down. So I think that gave me a wee insight into how Aberdeen and how him and Aberdeen are going to be playing this season.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be pushed over and bullied by anybody. I think that the guys he's brought in, Declan Gallagher, Bruni, J. Emmanuel Thomas, the big striker for America, Ramirez, Ferguson in there, McCrory in there. They've got a fair bit of dig about them, and as you said, they've got a wee bit of sprinkling of flair with guys like Hedges. So I think Aberdeen will be good this season, and I don't think they'll come down and they'll park the bus anywhere. Stephen Glass is not that type of guy as a player or a manager. He'll be confident to go and win anywhere, and that's the way they'll play. And I think they will. I think them and Hibs this season. I think you'll see Aberdeen and Hibs really, really pushing up, and I think you'll see a bigger gap between they two and the rest. I think they two are, for me, they're just a wee bit better than your Hearts and your St Johnstones and teams like that.
Yeah. I think that the Rangers and Celtic are way ahead. I think it's between Aberdeen and Hibs, and the rest are fighting amongst themselves to try and see what they've got,
Yeah.
And if they can find whoever the other rest can find, somebody can nick 10, 12 goals for the season, that will get them into that top half.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think they've got a good goalie. If I was saying who would I like to see at Aberdeen, of one or two players, they need a striker, and I still think they need another centre half.
Well, every manager will tell you that. The more, if you get all the ones you're talking about, you give me them, I'll take them. And strength and depth is what we've always talked about on the show. We've said it with Celtic, we've said it with Rangers. If things aren't to go well, you turn around to the bench and you see, right, who do I bring on that's going to make a difference here? And if they can do that, they'll make it even better.
I think also you look at the best teams, even in Rangers Celtic, the spine of the team is important now, and I don't think Aberdeen had that before.
Yep.
I think now they've got it. Declan Gallagher, Considine, McCrory could play back there, but Ferguson, Brown, Ramirez up front, the big lads that can go and tough it up, and you can change the wingers and things like that. So, they'll be strong, but they're they're a good side, and I think it'll be between them and Hibs again for that third and fourth place.
Yep, and of course the winner of Reedoblick against Aberdeen will play AEL Limassol or Qarabag. We've heard of them before as well. Tam, Andrew Considine says, first leg, the Dons need it to be solid up at Pittodrie.
We know that we'll have our work cut out, but at the same time, over the years we've managed to produce some really good away performances, and it's going to require a solid 90 plus minutes, and hopefully we can grab a couple of goals and take it back to Pittodrie for the second leg.
There's Andrew Considine there. I mean, that he just mentioned and reiterated, they need to be solid. I think they're more than capable of going and winning against Breidablik first leg, and I think if they don't get the win, I think they'll take them at Pittodrie. Yeah,
no, I do. I think they can, and I think that talking about that the away goal doesn't really it makes a difference to you, where you don't have to score. If you score or you concede at home for the away goal, it doesn't really make a difference because you can go there yourself, and it's no, as long as you can get the goal. So I think Aberdeen will get through this, and it'll be a tough tie. And it's like Hibs as well. Both clubs, if they can get through, they're obviously going to face the next tie. But if one or two would be brilliant to get into the group stage, I think it'd be brilliant for Scottish football.
Yeah, okay. Good luck to Aberdeen as well. Just to prove the point, people who are watching the programme, if you download the PLZ Soccer app, then you get the show. You can see it on your phone. If you're not at your house, if you haven't got it on the YouTube, on your smart television, you can download the app and you'll get all the breaking news stories, and you can see the show live at your fingertips on your phone as well, unless of course you've got Ruffy's Nokia 3210, and then basically Charlie Adam is just like a wee stick man moving from the left of the screen to the right. Other than that, thanks to Michael Edmonds, who watches the show. Michael regularly contributes to the show and watches it. He's downloaded the app, he's pressed submission, he's posted a wee message saying Kevin Nisbet to Celtic, Lee Griffiths to Hibs.
I don't think either club would be disappointed in that, to be honest. I think that Celtic would take Nisbet, tomorrow. I think Lee Griffiths came back. Hibs supporters adore Lee Griffiths. He's one of them. He's scored a barrel in a terrible Hibs team under Pat Fenlon.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be a bad move for either.
Okay, there you are. Galatasaray against St Johnstone. If I was a St Johnstone fan in the first leg and I was watching it streamed or it was on the telly at any point, I would be saying to the kids, look, get behind the couch, I'll bring some chips round and we'll all sit behind there and watch this like that, because this is going to be a tough 90 minutes.
Yeah, but I think the guys will know if you're an organised team and you go to a set plan of what you're going to do, and everybody, does it right to the 100%. You've always got a chance. I think what I don't know what like they are over there with their fans. Their fans are allowed in. I think that's the worrying thing is their fans, the Turkish fans.
Welcome to hell, innit?
So it's just.
Do you know what that reminds me of, Ruffy? Fenerbahce were playing Rangers. I don't know if you might have been playing, Charlie, over in Turkey. So as ever, the press usually go 3-4 hours, they bus you straight in, and I kid you not, the bus was rocking. There was 20,000 inside the ground, easily 2.5 hours before the game was kicking off, Tam. Flares, bombs, everything, you name it, was firecrackers, the lot, Ruffy, and the press bus was going like that, so God knows what the Rangers bus must have been like, but it was absolutely
in the toilet.
Exactly. It was mental.
Did the press bus know it was getting rocked with the amount of alcohol they usually have before they get there?
Yeah, absolutely.
On expenses, expenses one.
No. I remember, I'll never forget, somebody shall remain nameless, I'll never forget, there was a game, and again Rangers, I think they were playing Valencia, and the game was ranked rotten, and a journalist said, I've left a gin and tonic there, I'll go back to it. Great days in the 80s and 90s, I have to say, some of the madness that went on, but nevertheless, Fenerbahce was crazy.
The Graham's thing.
That takes bottle, doesn't it?
It's just, I'd love to have been in
Flag?
the stadium. I'd love to have been in the stadium.
You
to
can't,
see that, you just can't be
you
that.
could get away. That's the type of thing he would do, though. I remember interviewing him I'd taken him out to Arta in Glasgow, Charlie, and it was the 10th anniversary of Rangers signing Mo Johnston. I'll never forget it. So I'd taken him out for lunch and I said, look, we're going to do this little feature with you and Arta to talk about it 10 years on. He says, yeah, no problem. And he had still had the Mauser, the moustache, and I had kept the paper and on the, Mo Johnson signs for Rangers, and there's Mo in the strip. And I says it's the transfer, it's the transfer that rocked Scottish football. Mo Johnson signs for Rangers, and of course, who better to talk about it than the man that made it happen? And I got Graham just to hold the paper up, and then he just pops his head up, and has a wee smile. And I knew right away that people would be throwing things at the telly, but he was up for a noise up, wasn't he, Ruffy?
Oh, he was. I mean, you'd have to get to know him personally to know what you were dealing with, but no, he liked a good laugh as well.
Great company, isn't he?
Yeah,
I'm fortunate enough to have met him a couple of times, and I think talking football and how he talks, he scares you because he's got a presence and a personality. Even on the telly, I love listening to him. I think he's obviously made that decision a few years ago not to come back into the game because of health issues and things like that, but he's a great guy, and like I say, he's well up for a laugh.
Yeah, he's looking better with age as well, isn't he?
He's looking fantastic, by the way. See, that's what happens when you look after yourself when you get older.
Well, that's what happens when you get $2 million a year.
but you're not bitter, are you? Brilliant. Anyway, one final point. Of course, today he must have been flown in. Jack Grealish, Man City, £100 million from Aston Villa. I think he's just completely and utterly surpassed, I beg your pardon, the Paul Pogba deal now. Grealish, he's a special player. 100 million, some people will balk at it, Charlie.
Yeah, but I still think they could have got somebody else for 100 million. Listen, he's a top player. I don't think he's world class. I don't think he's world class. I think he's a very, very good player.
Do you think 100 million should be a world?
Could become it under Pep?
Yeah, do you think 100 million is a world class player you're looking for?
Oh, I'm looking for 30 goals a season. I'm looking for 20 assists a season. You're talking Kevin De Bruyne's 100 and odd million. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I don't think he's at the Kevin De Bruyne level.
Wow.
I think he's a top player. You're obviously going to have to pay a premium because he's English, but Man City have said they won't spend 100 million. They've just went and done it. I could see the Harry Kane deal happening as well soon. So listen, they're buying the league. They're going to win the league. I think this couple of signings could be the piece for the Champions League.
This is for the Champions League. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind it's for the Champions League. But I take your point. I think they've sent shockwaves across Europe because it's not just. I mean, we are paupers compared to them. But when you look at the rest of Europe, Real Madrid worried, Barcelona worried, Bayern Munich worried, because they've created such an imbalance that I said on this show, Ruffy, and you'll remember I said 5-6 years ago, I said that the European football would be dominated by English clubs for the foreseeable future. They will be involved in semi-finals, finals all the time because they are creating such a huge imbalance. That point you made about paying the premium for an English player is another part of the imbalance. But the one thing I would say, Tam, is see if he's on the park, I'll watch the game. If it was Aston Villa against West Brom, I wouldn't even bother watching it. There are some English games where I think, nah, but see where he's playing, I'm on it. I love him.
Man City are just going to, if they sign Harry Kane or not. I mean, I'm just looking at De Bruyne, Foden, Grealish playing behind Kane. I mean, how many goals would Kane score?
Yeah.
I mean, you could score 50 goals.
You can see why.
Honestly,
you can see why Kane's trying to batter the door down to get
out. Imagine playing behind him.
Because he knows that, it's not about the money. It's not about money. It's about going and winning trophies and having as an Englishman, being like winning all these trophies. That's what it's all about for Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Because he's getting the money at Tottenham, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Gabriel Antoniazzi looks at some of the biggies through history.
Jack Grealish is set to become the 6th most expensive player of all time as he makes his £100 million move to Manchester City, which seems a million miles away from the first £1 million player, Trevor Francis, to Nottingham Forest back in 1979. Now, Francis went on to score the winning goal in the European Cup final in his debut season, but how have other big money signings fared? Let's have a look at the top 5 transfers of all time. Antoine Griezmann moved from Atletico Madrid to Barcelona for 107 million in 2019, but the World Cup winners failed to reach expectations. He scored 22 league goals, but is yet to win La Liga or make a mark in the Champions League. Joao Felix was brought in as Griezmann's replacement at Atletico. He joined from Benfica for just a bit more. The 19-year-old struggled in his first season but delivered in his second, helping secure La Liga for Diego Simeone's men. Felipe Coutinho's exit from Liverpool for 120 million triggered the start of the Reds' success, but it had the opposite impact on new side Barcelona. The Brazilian has failed to make a mark on the team, appearing in only 15 league games across 3 seasons, one of which he spent out on loan. Kylian Mbappe joined Paris Saint-Germain in 2017, initially on loan, before a huge 160 million was paid to Monaco for his services. Mbappe has been the most successful on the list, scoring 132 times, lifting 8 trophies along the way and winning 3 golden boots. Neymar's £200 million transfer looks like it will stand for years to come, following his arrival in Paris from Barca in 2017. He's been sublime and infuriating at the same time. He scored 87 times, but he's yet to deliver his main target, the Champions League, coming closest when losing the 2020 final. How do you think Grealish will fare compared to these stars?
Yeah, hopefully you can follow us on our YouTube channels. Some amount of money there, Ruffy, spent on those players.
Yeah, eat your heart out, Ian McCall, with his budget, you know.
Those are mind-boggling. Oh, of course, with that comes the pressure from the manager who signs these players.
Yeah, listen, it comes, you know, the players and the fans will be expecting so much from these lads, but that's why they're paying the big bucks, because they do expect it, and you know, it'll be you know, the English game is just going to get bigger and bigger, and the bigger clubs are going to get stronger.
Yeah, apart from obviously Messi came through La Masia, but the best transfer deal of all time in the last 40 years has got to be Ronaldo. I don't think anybody will surpass it. When you think about a boy who was signed for 12 million from Sporting Lisbon, and Sir Alex Ferguson taking him on to another level, and then he signs for Real Madrid, changes from a number 7 to a number 9, scores a load of goals, breaks records right, left and centre, and does the same in Serie A as well. I mean, it's incredible. He's been one of the best. You think about transfers of players, he's been one of the best of all time.
When he first came in, I don't think a lot of people were having him.
No,
he was a bit of a show pony, wasn't he? The highlights and the...
I think Man U played Sporting Lisbon a pre-season in a friendly, and the players come in and said, you need to sign them. That night. But the thing about Ronaldo is, if you went to sign Ronaldo now, you still have to pay 40 million for him.
Yeah, and I would.
37.
Would you, Ruffy? I would sign him.
You know?
So he wins trophies.
He could play his 40, couldn't he, easily?
Yeah. Machine. Anyway, apart from that, listen, I hope you've enjoyed the chat. I hope you've enjoyed the banter. Don't forget, you can win the Motherwell top. It's fairly straightforward. All you have to do is quite simply subscribe to our YouTube channel. More and more people joining us for the new season. Of course, just getting to know the fact that we are now exclusively on the YouTube channel, PLZ Soccer. All you have to do is put it in there. You can get YouTube, just in case you are not quite technically minded. If you've got a smart television, just get someone to help you to flick it on to the apps, and there's YouTube. Put in PLZ Soccer and we're there, and you'll get all the unique video content. If you've got the app, you're in a better position, because you'll never miss any of the breaking news stories, and you'll have the video on your phone as well. Even when we're live, you'll get it crystal clear, hopefully, if you've got a half-decent phone. So you can win the Motherwell top this week. We're giving away the Premiership tops in Scotland. All you have to do is subscribe, or indeed tell us who scored Motherwell's first Premiership goal of the season. Put it in the live feed down below. We're going to be picking out a lucky winner on Friday. Charlie will be on the show looking back over the European games tomorrow night, and he'll also be looking ahead to that big game against Celtic on the Sunday.
Looking forward to the predictions this Friday night.
Yes.
Oh, you had a bit of a mare, didn't you?
Yeah, you had a nightmare, Ruffy, didn't you?
Yeah, I won the penalty miss up at Ross County done me.
Yeah.
I'd 1-0.
Well, there's no
Talking
point.
about Charlie's game more than anything else.
Oh,
so,
listen, well, if anybody's got a spine and wants to be honest about it, you know, I've already said St Mirren. I mean, if it wasn't for Cummings' great equaliser, I had 5 points there, Chaz.
Listen, there's a few pundits in here that are...
Two-faced?
Aye.
That's good enough for me. Thanks to Charlie Adam, to Alan Ruff, from Tam McManus, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks to you for watching.